It's no secret that there are a lot of music levels in Mario Maker 2. From Kirby music, to Mario Galaxy music, to Steve's Lava Chicken, to literal Michael Jackson. But while these levels are cool, none of these let you actually create music. It's like having a bunch of songs on Spotify, but we don't have FL Studio or whatever. So I decided to attempt to create actual instruments in Mario Maker 2 that can be played and not just listened to. And then I will try to see if I can make an actual song using these levels as my instruments. Let's go. So let's start with the instrument that I usually start with whenever I'm making a song, and that is the drums. Now what makes drums so hard to port over to Mario Maker is the fact that you often hit parts of the drum set at the same time, which becomes difficult in Mario Maker because you can't really hit these note blocks at the same time, can you? So what I decided to do instead was a drum machine. With drum machines you can set it up one by one and then loop the same bar multiple times and it still works as a drum set. Kind of. The way I'll be doing this is by making a design where you hit this block which spawns a spring and bounces this muncher and bomb so that the bomb explodes and breaks this specific block. Then once you reload the scene, there will be some sort of object in that spot that will act as a one drum hit. Then there will be music blocks on tracks going around this thing so that it loops. The way to produce drum sounds is pretty simple since Mario Maker has the POW block, P-switch and sideways spring that all act as part of a drum set when bounced on a music block. The POW makes a kick sound, the P-switch makes a snare sound, and the sideways spring makes a hi-hat sound. So I managed to make this setup. Here you see that we have 8 blocks for each drum part. Once you have hit the ones you would like to hit, you go into this pipe that will reset the scene. Once the scene has been resetted, these music blocks will then move between tracks to start playing the beats. Making a path for these music blocks wasn't easy, by the way, since you need to have all the music blocks on screen once you exit the pipe. Otherwise some note blocks off screen will not load and therefore won't start traveling on the track. It's also important that you don't move when coming out of the pipe, since it will despawn the sound from the objects, or at least make them sound weird. But after doing it as how it's intended, it will then sound something like this. Pretty neat, huh? This is a pretty limited program though, since you can only do 4 beats, and there's only 3 sounds being used, meaning no toms or crashes or rides are available. But it works and that's what matters. Next we have the piano. The piano is honestly way simpler to make than the drums. While there are chords that require you to hit multiple notes at once, we actually don't need chords in this instance, because you can just play a melody and it still works as a piano. For this setup we use a brick block that after being hit will bump up this Goomba to hit a music block and then fall back down into the setup. The higher the key is, the higher the music block needs to be. And therefore I made these bill blasters 1 block taller for every note. A bit of a problem with this is A, you have to wait for the Goomba to get down after the note has been hit, and B, you have to run between each note, which takes a bit of time as you can see. If you have an idea on how to fix these problems, then feel free to suggest them in the comments. But I ended up making this setup in the end. Time for the bass. Now I could just replace these Goombas with rotten mushrooms and call it a synth bass, but are we really gonna do that? Are we that simple? No, I'm doing an electric bass. Or well, I tried to. You see, to play bass or guitar in the first place, you need to not only push down a string, but also play that string all the way over here. And you know how I feel about having to be at 2 spots at the same time. Yeah, it doesn't really work. So all I did was put music blocks here that you have to jump on, and 1 block up represents 1 half note up on the bass. While the player might make a steel drum sound and not a bass sound, all my other ideas just seemed way too complicated and hard to pull off. So that's the setup that I went for. Okay, now comes the question, can I make a song using these instruments? Well, kind of. At least I made this song that I titled Make or Breaker, cause I don't know, I thought it was a kind of a cool name. However, this song required me to do a lot of cuts, mostly because again, it takes a long time to go between these notes both for the piano and the bass. I actually feel like the bass kind of sounds like a bass in this song, even though it doesn't produce a bass sound at all, but I don't know. While you might say that I could make more instruments, all you really need to do is to use this piano setup and change it to literally any other enemy or power-up. So you know, who really cares? Finally, let's answer the question of, is it possible to create playable instruments in SMM2? With yes, but very limited instruments, since obviously this game is not meant to be a music program. And with that, my job here is done. If you want to listen to the Make or Breaker song in full, you can go over to my second channel. Yes, I have a second channel now, where I will eventually upload other types of videos like, I don't know yet, but go subscribe to that one if you're interested. Anyways, thanks for watching, have a great rest of your day, and as always, see you soon. Ow gosh, why did I fly up this time?